This is Mr. Sputnik 1988. On the camera is ZR2 Tracker Joe, and behind me is my 2000 Chevy Tracker with a 1.6 liter 5-speed manual. This is my third installment video on mods I've done to this, and since the second one, if you've seen it, going through a bit of changes. So I'll just start with the rims and tires. Rims are from Summit Racing. They are a 15 by 7 inch rim with a 4 1/4 opening to accommodate the hubs. They're wrapped in a 235 by 75 R15 Goodyear Wrangler Duratrack. These tires work really well for the weight of this rig. The lockouts are worn premium. Never had any issues with them. Just keep them lightly greased and you'll be good. For these wheels, you do have to take a little bit of material off the caliper to make them work, but not a big deal. I used to have wheel spacers on it. This is a negative 6mm offset rim. So these 235s, no wheel spacers, of any contact with the frame or any of the fenders. On suspension, has an old man Emu suspension under it. The front spring is a 950 part number with a 2-inch coil spacer. The rear is a 955 with a 1-inch coil spacer with the stock rubber isolator. And with that, you get 2.5 inches up front, and the rear 3-inch. And on top of that is a 2-inch body lift from Rocky Road Outfitters. No issues with that. Moving on to the Driveline. Transfer case has been taken apart and rebuilt with the 4.24:1 ratio gears. Creepy crawly gears that work really well. Because it's short wheelbase and I went 3 inches of suspension in the rear, I used a 1-inch drive shaft spacer. On these short wheelbases, the drive shaft's only this long, so if you go any more than 2 inches, you're going to have a drive shaft spacer. Your axle is outfitted with a spool. On these trackers, they have the same spline as the Geo Tracker, so you are able to use the spool for a Geo Tracker. So basically, full-time lockup. Moving on to engine, cat back 2-inch, through a thrush, out back, plenty of bed liner, whole frames and bed line, body line down, bumpers. Bumper covers are gone for more ground clearance. And underneath, it's outfitted from skid plates from the bumper all the way back to the transfer case. This is 1/8 steel. Next one down is 1/8 steel. And I don't know if you'll be able to see them, but covering my transmission, front drive shaft, and transfer case is just 16 gauge. Works for what I need it to. Because of the lift up front, you got to have 2 camber bolts for each side to get the camber in line. With the body lift, you have to get shot in here. With the body lift, you have to re-drill a hole 2 inches down to accommodate the soft line, or else it's going to stretch and break, especially body lift and 2.5 inch suspension. 1.5 inch strut spacer. Bumper covers off. And if you do this, these side marker lights that are down on the bumper can be mounted up here, and with the curve, they line up with the fender pretty well. On top of the bumper is a 20-inch eBay special light bar, 10,000 lumens, and goes to relay, then a toggle switch. But stock 1.6, short air intake, nothing too special in here. Fan shroud has been removed. Have had absolutely zero overheating problems with that. And with that body lift, you also have to extend the intermediate steering shaft. So it's got the spacer kit that came from Rocky Road. Zero issues with that. And inside, XL7 seats with a captain's armrest, can be swapped over. One of the better additions to the interior. Carpet's been ripped out, bed line, custom shifter handle. It's got automatic push button start for winter, suicide handle. And with the bi-lift, if you have a 5-speed, you're going to have to notch out the plastic in the center console to accommodate the shifter. Picked up a little air compressor, hard mounted floor, and hardwired it into a switch. So his switch, air compressor turns on. I got 25 foot of line in the rear, so I can go to each tire, air them up after I'm done for the day. Also with the interior, there is a volt gauge and a oil pressure gauge. This is a mechanical gauge. Runs a nylon tube right off of the oil pressure port and right in through here. There's my Cobra. Got it on a nice gear keeper. Bumper's bed line, no rear bumper cover. If you ever have an issue with your tow hook dragging, another option you can go is inside this hole. You can ream a hole 3/4 inch. When I bolt in here, safely tucks this tow hook out of the way. The front shocks are stock, and they use that spacer on top for a 2-inch drop. And the rear shocks are Deutsche Tech shocks off of Low Range. They're actually an off-road shock from Low Range from Deutsche Tech. They work really, really well. These are 2 inches longer, actually 2.5, I believe. So it works well with a 3-inch lift. Front, I forgot to mention, all these second gens have an air pump that's mounted behind the bumper, pushes about 5-6 pounds of air to the front diff, and it engages the carrier with a ring and pinion, basically. And what I did, I dropped that out, and I took the carrier apart, and I'll probably do another video on this with my spare parts. I took the inner carrier piece and the engagement ring that the diaphragm pushes on, and had it welded to the internal carrier. So if you lock your hubs in or have drive flanges, your front drive shafts can be continually spinning. So it's put the lockouts on, got the piece welded inside the diff, so no more air pump, no more diaphragm, no more possibility of getting an air leak and not having 4-wheel drive. And also, with these, they're known for the passenger side CV axle, where the stub end goes into the differential, leaks oil because there's no support there. So I had a nylon bushing machined and placed into the passenger side end of the front differential, and then the drive shaft or the CV axle rides on that, so no more CV axle def flop. And that's pretty much that's pretty much it. So have a good day.